Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hammer's Chat. What a game. What a game. Ugh. I mean, from a neutral perspective as well, a beautiful, beautiful match. Let's not get it twisted. It banged from that perspective. But from a West Ham perspective, was it just that little bit sweeter? My goodness me. I laughed at that Masuaku goal on stream for probably like 90 seconds. It was just comical. Like, how? Like, I still can't quite get my head around how, and yet it did. It just first on match of the day. Oh, what a day! What a day! Just good times. Just good times. So for today's video, what I thought I'd do is run down a sort of point by point basis, the good and the bad, because I don't think it was all good. There were some bad points as well to bring up, right? So I thought what I'd do is I'd say 3 good points and 3 bad points, and then we'll go good, bad, like that. The problem was, full disclosure, I couldn't think of 3 bad points. So I've only got 2, but that's fine because I'm still hyped over yesterday. That's probably why. But if I'm missing anything important, put it in the comments below. Let's talk through these important bullet points, if you will. But let's start with a good one. We'll sandwich it good, bad, good, bad, good, like that. That way we can end and begin with good, and we'll sandwich the bad points in. First good point. I thought Diop was really good. Not necessarily the best defender we had on the pitch. I think Zuma was probably a little bit better than him while he was playing, to be fair to the guy. And if he didn't get injured, I thought he was having an absolutely storming game against Chelsea. And good, because former club and all that. You want to see that fiery, and he was just on it. He was taking the ball from people. Diop. I thought Diop was really, really good. I thought he had probably one of his better games in a while. And that's saying something, because I've actually rated him quite highly this season. And I think this point can extend over the course of the season, because I think, by and large, I think Diop's really only had one bad game, in my opinion. I can't remember what one it was, but there was a game when him and Dawson were playing together. Was it in the Cup? Was it? No, it wouldn't be in the Cup. Was it in Europe? I don't remember what it was, right? But it was one game where they were playing together, and I thought they were both absolutely woeful. But outside of that, I thought he's played really good all season. But this one specifically, there's a lot of pressure. When you're in a back three, obviously it helps because you have more defenders around you, right? So you have more support around you. But if one of those people is a weak link, it can really hamper you, because all of a sudden there's like a big old gap, because you're sort of, although you have more people there, especially if you're playing as one of the wider ones, you're covering it, there's gaps can form, and the other people are going to think, oh, you've got it. And if you don't, it's a problem, right? So to see him step up in this game where he was going to be put under a hell of a lot of pressure from Chelsea's forward line, I thought he was one of the main reasons we really kept him quiet. Like, yes, they scored 2 goals. And look, the second goal, for example, was from open play. So it's not like they kept him quiet entirely. But once we got deeper into that game and we got the 3rd goal and we were in the lead, I think I said out loud on the stream something to the lines of, Chelsea now have the really difficult task of breaking a team down they haven't really been able to break down already. And I think Diop was a huge part of that. He had a towering performance, in my opinion. And why I wanted to highlight it specifically is because obviously with the injuries and everything coming along, it's going to be... It could have easily shaken me up. Like, it could have easily terrified me, right? And we're going to talk about the injuries in a second. But it could have really been a concerning moment where you go, oh my God, we're going to be stuck with Dawson and Diop. And I thought they both had really good games. But again, I kind of trust Dawson more than I trust Diop in terms of consistency. I think Diop could be a better player. I think Diop has a higher ceiling. I think he has more physical attributes, all this other sort of stuff. But if you're talking about who would I trust on a match day from a consistency standpoint, right now, this second, it would be Dawson. And so to see him have that kind of game makes me go, okay, all right, I'm kind of a bit calmer. And I thought it was worth pointing out. But let's talk about the injuries, right? Bad point number 1, injuries, big injuries, a lot of injuries. We've already got Ogbonna and Cresswell, which are the main ones. And then now to add to that, Johnson and Zuma. Now at this point, we don't know the extent of either of their injuries. I think most people suspect Johnson will be back relatively soon, comparatively, and Zuma might be out longer term, but I also think that's just a bit of fear within us, you know what I mean? It's scary, but it's manageable scary. Now, the centre-back situation is becoming more and more fraught. We do need backup, I think, in that position in January at this point, if Zuma is out for more than a month, 2 months. I mean, we've got regardless of what happens, we have the match against Tottenham in December, right? The cup game against Tottenham in December, and we don't have Europa League football until I think it's March. It comes back. So as long as he's back sort of before that period where we start to have a lot of games again, so say he's back in end of January, February kind of times, then it becomes a little less important. But if he's back anything past that, we need to act in the January transfer window, because as much as I liked Dawson and Diop's performance yesterday, and I really did, and as much as I like them both as players, I really do, they can't play every single game, which is what they're going to have to do. You know, December, we have like 9 games throughout the course of December, and they're going to have to play every single one of them. So maybe silver lining when it comes to that European game, which is dead rubber for us, which doesn't really mean anything for us. Maybe we put out Elise in that game or something like that, and then we find, oh my God, here's a centre-back who can step in, something like that. Or maybe we rework it back into the back 5 formation that we started with, but with Cresswell at centre-back. There's different options, but we can't act like those injuries aren't significant for us at this point. To have our first choice pairing of centre-backs both out, big problems. Johnson, slightly less of a problem because Kufal came back and had a brilliant performance, I felt. But again, if we end up putting Cresswell as left centre-back, then maybe we have to play Masuaku, or there's different variations of this, but it's becoming an issue, and it hasn't before. And I think when you look at some teams who have had their best seasons, it's because they haven't had injuries. And that's a big thing at this point. That's a big thing we need to be like, okay, how do we play this? Because the injury management is almost as important throughout the course of a season, and they're starting to stack. They are starting to stack a little bit. So hopefully nothing too deep. I suspect we find out tomorrow, or at least the rumour mill starts tomorrow. Good point number 2, winning mindset. I thought we really kicked on. There was a point where I think it would have been really easy for us to take a 2-2 draw. And to be honest with you, if you'd asked me, I think I would have said that David Moyes would have just locked up shop and stayed with a 2-2 draw. But we kind of didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were playing defensive, and the point that makes it clear for me, when it came down to the Masuaku goal, how quickly we took that throw in. Because usually our throw-ins, we are the worst at throw-ins. I don't know if there's I don't concentrate on other teams to such a minute detail that I can remember how good or bad their throw-ins are, but we are atrocious. We are the worst. We can't do anything. We're just so bad at them, and I don't get why. We've been bad. I remember when I used to go and watch Allardyce football, basically when we were in the Championship and stuff, and that was the first time I really noticed it. I was like, we're not good at throw-ins. And since then, I've just looked at it. We've just never got better. We're usually so slow. We can't decide. No one's running for it, making moves for it. We usually just stand around and hope someone throws. I don't know why. We're awful at it, right? But we got the ball. We threw it quickly to Masuaku. Masuaku hesitated on the cross, tried it a couple of times. I went, screw it. I'm just going to hit it. Deflects in, goal. But it's that kind of like not saying no. Again, we're at a back 4 at this point. It would be easy for David Moyes to go. And it is David Moyes. I want to give the praise for this, by the way. It would be easy for David Moyes to go, no, you stay back. You stay tight. We stay compact. We're getting this draw. We are getting a point from this game. And that would require Masuaku to sit a hell of a lot deeper. That would require Masuaku to shut up shop. And yet, no, he's up the other end of the pitch getting the winner. And again, it would be suspected that David Moyes would do that, and he didn't. And that's a huge positive for me, because that game was there for the taking. We saw how susceptible they were in various stages in the game. We saw there was something to be got out from that game. And instead of going, do you know what? We'll take this. This is a good point. We fought back from 1-0 and then from 2-1. No, we went up the other end and we got the winner in a huge match. And the joy and elation we all felt when that happened comes from that. And so I wanted to pull that out because I think that's a big thing. And I wanted to praise David Moyes specifically for it. Second bad point, the final one I could think of, Antonio's first half was shocking. And I was really concerned. And I don't want to stay on this one too long because of what the third point, good point is. But his first half was utterly atrocious. And I've been really concerned for the past month and a half, 2 months at this point, about Antonio's performances. I think the commentary said that it was 6 games without scoring or something like that for Antonio for West Ham. And he's not been good for a long time. He's been really lackadaisical. And even in games like, I think it was the Tottenham one where he scored on about the 75th minute to get the winner. Before that, he was having a terrible game. Then he gets the goal, and then he started to liven up and do things. But before that, it was just awful. And I felt like recently it's almost been a case of him He's almost been playing as if he's trying to reserve as much energy as possible to last the 90 minutes. And then once it gets to the last 15, 10 minutes, then he starts doing stuff because he's like, right, I can push myself a bit now because there's basically no time of the game left. So I can push myself now and not completely wear myself out and ruin myself for the rest of the game. And I've started to be working on this assumption that that's kind of what he was doing, because it's just a case where we have one striker and it can't happen. But yesterday's first half was absolutely atrocious. And this is why I wanted to move on quickly, because his second half was brilliant. My God, did he step up in that second half. And again, I want to give credit to him and I want to give credit to David Moyes, because I don't know what happened, but something happened at halftime to where Mikel Antonio came out in the second half and he was doing all of the things I have been desperate to see him doing again for the last month and a half, 2 months, however long it's been, right? Chasing ball, harrying balls, powering through, not just falling down for stuff. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but again, it's easy to play for set pieces when you're a team like us who are so good at set pieces. No, for the goal, for example, the Bowen one, I think it's in the build up to the Bowen goal. He's battling with one of the Chelsea defenders and he's literally bouncing off them and staying up. He's not going down, he's staying up, he's chasing the ball. He gets the knockdown, runs, spins around, charges through, creates the space, I think, for Bowen, who ends up scoring. I think it was the Bowen goal. You'll know the bit I'm talking about. Ball comes in over the top, knocks it down, spins, chases it through, creates space. It was Antonio of last year. That was the guy we all saw, the one who was being so good and was so consistent during that period for some bizarre reason, and something we've been desperately screaming for a while. And I don't think it's a coincidence that yesterday we continued to step up through the gears as the game went on when he was in form playing. Because when you have someone up front, David Moyes' system of that staying strong at the back, staying compact, staying resolute, counter-attacking, that's all well and good and effective, and I thought defensively we showed that yesterday, that we knew exactly what we were doing, either in a 4 or in a 5. It showed exactly what we were doing, but it does rely heavily on your forward, your striker, especially when they're up front by themselves, to have an amazing game. I think the first time David Moyes was here, when we didn't get relegated before he left, when Pellegrini came in, Marko Arnautovic became this unreal talismanic forward that and a lot of the time, in my opinion, we would resort to just hoofing it at Arnautovic and hoping he created magic. And I think we did the same thing with Antonio previously in the first half season. David Moyes was here and stuff. Hoof it at Antonio, hope he creates magic. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you have the person doing that. But of late, Antonio has not been himself. He's not been good. I've heard people say since he came back from Jamaica, I think it's been before Jamaica. I just don't think he's been very good. He was back to his best in that second half. And he's part of, if not one of the bigger reasons why we won that game. Because again, it seems even if you're not directly involved in the play, if all of a sudden you have an inform Antonio running around at your defense, creating space, making through runs, you have to think. You can't just concentrate on the person with the ball or the person who passed the ball to. You're like, all right, Antonio's going that way. You have to drag Antonio, then someone else is here, that, and the other. And you look at Jarrod Bowen. I was watching Match of the Day yesterday, and they brought up how good he is at finding pockets of space and stuff, which I agree with. And I think for the goal specifically, you can see Antonio moving around, and it just all of a sudden it makes it so much more difficult to defend against. And it's the Antonio that we know and love, and it's the Antonio, more importantly to some extent, that opposition teams are scared of. Because there will be a lot of opposition teams who I speak to. There's a lot of opposition fans who I speak to who always bring up Antonio as this unreal striker. They're always like, oh my God, Antonio's coming. And a lot of time I go, you don't have to be as scared as you are. You do again, because he's brought it. And hopefully in the next game, he brings it again. Again, it's another situation we have to manage with his injuries and with his fitness levels, him being the only striker at the club. But I just wanted to call it out because I thought he was so good in that second half. And it was beautiful to see, as was the rest of the match. Did I miss any important points? Let me know in the comment section below, because I'm sure I did. Like I said, I wanted to come up with 3 points, bad points to be equal and all that. And I genuinely couldn't. I genuinely couldn't. I guess I could have split up the injuries and spoke about Johnson and Zuma separately and everything else. But who knows? Who knows? How did you think? And are you still elated like I am? Because I am. I can't lie to you. I'm still just having a grand old time. I'm still having football. You know what I mean? Football. Yes, top 4. Let's go. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you're new around here. Like the video. And until next time, come on your hands. I will see you then. Bye, everyone.